In this tutorial, we'll take a look at pricing your products. So there are various pricing types that can be applied to each of your products. The system currently supports price per unit. We have price per unit with different tier reductions, and we can have price per unit with sliding cost adjustment. And we can have quantity drop down pricing as well. And we'll explore a couple of these now. So what I'm going to start off with is just showing you our basic product. So this is with no pricing specifications defined at all. So we've got no price regardless of what quantity we pick. So if I go into my product details, so this is just on the product management list, find the product I want to edit. And then what I want to do is go to our product variant. So there's a product variants tab on our product details. You can only have one product variant per product in Infigo. And what I want to do is just go to the right hand side of the product variant entry and click on edit. So we go into more detail in the product variant settings as a whole in other videos and other resources, but it's a way of specifying a lot of information such as pricing, stock level control, various delivery options, and so on and so forth. What we're going to focus on today is a little bit of pricing information. So if I scroll down, you can see these entries here, which are our basic pricing options. So to start off with, we'll just put some basic pricing in there. I'm just going to look at these three boxes here. So we have the price, we have the old price, and we have the product cost. So price is the default price of the product. Old price is the previous price of a product. This is more of a display field rather than anything else. It will display on your storefront what the price of the product used to be. And then product cost is the cost of all different components which make up a product. So this may be the purchase price of all the components or a combined cost of materials and manufacturing processes. The choice is yours for that one. So before we move on, let's take a look at what changes those settings have on our product. So I'm just going to save it and refresh it on our storefront. And you can see already that we've got a few changes here. So we've got an old price listed, so we can see what the price of the product used to be. We have a current price, and then if I modify the quantity of that and add it to our basket, that price is taken into consideration. So we can see the unit price is £2. I've got 5, so obviously my total is 10. The next option down is special price. So this is an alternate product price which can be applied between set dates and times if you wish to do so. So for example, if I wanted to make a temporary discount on that particular product, I could enter the new price and then a start and an end date. So I'll make it so that the current time and date sits within this special price range. And then when I save my product and refresh, we should see this price changing to reflect that because we are within that the specified starts and end times of the special price. We do have some other pricing options here as well that you're welcome to experiment with. We won't be going through them in this video tutorial, but we have the capability to, for example, disable the ability to buy a product, so the buy button will be disabled. Disable the ability to add the product to a wish list. We can get our customers to have to call us for a price rather than displaying a price, or we can even have the customer enter a price themselves. So all of those options are listed around about here. Next, we're going to focus on tier pricing. So if I go to the very top of my product variant editor, the next tab along is tier pricing. So taking a look at the tier pricing in a little bit more detail here. So the options that we have, there's not too many of them. The actual setup in here is fairly straightforward, but the work that goes on in the background is a little bit more complex and we'll need a bit more time to explain. So the first few options are different forms of tier pricing. So you specify your pricing tiers down at the bottom here, which we'll do in a moment, and then whatever you select on here is how it actually utilizes those tier prices. Another option we have here is the ability to show price as order line total. So if you have that deselected, when you're looking at the product on your storefront, just update that, it will show you a per unit price. So for example, if I put 5 in there, it will still show me the per unit price. If I have show price as order line total, that will now show me a total order price. And this works even without any price tiers. That applies to your normal pricing structure as well. It's just a different way of viewing the total price on your storefront. The reason it's included as part of the tier pricing is that it makes more sense in the context of these options. So what I'm going to do is add a few tier pricing records here. Now this is going to be fairly arbitrary. So what you need to do is to press add new record. Then you have a couple of options. First off, you do have the ability to specify different pricing based on customer role if you wish to do so. So if you want to give different roles different levels of discount, and then you put in a quantity, and then you put in a price for order. So for example, if our customer purchases 1, maybe I want it to be £5 per order. If I want to put this in as individual unit price rather than total order price, then I can turn this off. So now you see it's just saying price. I'll add a new record. I'll say if someone buys 100, maybe it's £4 each, and 1,000, maybe it's £3 each. And what you'll see is that when I start to change these settings, the numbers here will automatically change as well to reflect this information. So for example, if I put show price as order line total, it's switched that to price per order, and the values have now updated based on that quantity. Okay, so starting off as a normal setting. So what I mean by this is we don't have any of these options selected, but if we do have tier pricing applied, it is still going to use tier pricing, but it's going to be a price per unit which is directly based on the tiered bracket that you are currently sat within. So to view this on our storefront, just to see if that makes more sense. So this is what it would look like with our tiers in place. So we've got price break information here showing the different quantities we purchase and the price. And then if I start putting in a few different quantities here just to hopefully drive the point home. So if we're sat within this bracket, so between 1 and 99 units, this should remain as £5 because it's £5 per unit. However, as soon as we move up to the next bracket, it's going to be £4 per unit, and not £4 per unit is going to be applied to all of the units in the basket, not just the ones that sit within that bracket. So just to go into a little supporting Excel sheet that we have associated with this, using the same tiers that we've just applied, I've got a few examples in the left hand set of columns which is talking about the normal method. So for example, if we want 30 units, they all sit within tier A, so that means that's within the £5 per unit bracket. So the price per unit is £5. If we go for 500, we sit within the second bracket, so that means it's the £4 per unit bracket. So the price per unit of the entire basket is £4. Same justification for 800. And then if we want 2,000 units, that clearly sits within tier C, which is £3 per unit bracket. So every unit in the basket is then £3. Okay, so next we'll take a look at quantity-based pricing. Now this is probably the easiest one to explain. This directly utilizes what you've specified as your tiers and does not give people the ability to specify a quantity which is outside of these values. So if I just save that so we can view it on our storefront, you'll see that the price break table disappears, but it's now been replaced by this drop down in the quantities box, and all we give the user to do, option to do is to either purchase 1, 100 or 1000. The next option down is to spread amounts across all pricing tiers. So what this is doing is directly referencing how many products from each tier you are purchasing. So first off, let's look at the product homepage. So basically it means that if you're purchasing 50 units, then everything is going to be within this first bracket here. So everything is just £5 per unit. If you're looking to get 150 units, then you've got some of this pricing bracket as well, and some of this pricing bracket. So let's try to justify this a little bit more in our Excel sheet. So we've got this series of columns here which looks like this, and we're using the same unit quantities that we used in the previous example. So if we want 30 units, they all sit within tier A. So that's 30 units of £5 each. That's £150 divided by the 30 units, so £5 per unit. Nice and easy. If we want 500 units, then that now sits within two different tiers. So we've got tier A and tier B. It means we've got 100 units at £5 each, and we've got 400 units at £4 each. That's a sum total of £2,100. And then we divide that by the amount of units that we want. So the per unit price is going to be £4.20. Now coming down to 2,000 units. So this is now sitting within three different tiers. So we have 100 units in the £5 bracket, we have 900 units in the £4 bracket, and we have 1,000 units in the £3 bracket. So we've put all those together, that's £7,100. Divide it by how many units we want, and that gives us an overall price per unit of £3.55. So the last tier pricing method we're going to look at here is interpolate price based on tiers. And I've formed a couple of graphs which will hopefully help explain this a little. Again, it's in the Excel sheet that we've created. So we've got a plot here to try and visualize what's happening with this interpolation method. So the only data that we've input into the system for this is these three same pricing tiers. So we've got tier A, quantity 1, £5, tier B, quantity 100, £4, tier C, quantity 1,000, £3. So that's 3 data points, and those 3 data points have been plotted on this graph. Now that's not a lot of information. That's essentially just getting a chart of unit quantity versus order price, where the only information you have is those 3 points. So what we need to do is to interpolate between that data, and then that's what we do here. Essentially, it's a case of between each of the tier points, the tier data points, we draw a straight line between them. So we've got a straight line between A and B, and a straight line between B and C. And what this essentially means is that for any unit quantity that we select, so let's say a unit quantity of 600, we can get what the total order price is going to be. So this is the interpolation. This is a very simple representation graphically of it. There is an equation that gets fed into the background of the Infigo software to actually calculate what the relation is between the unit quantity and the order price. And there is a help center topic which shows that equation if you are interested.